size hidden bed. When you receive the bed, you'll find a hardware kit in your crate, and this is basically what's in it. 10mm wrench, 4mm wrench, and a Torx bit, and a specially ground Phillips bit, and then the rest of these parts will be in there. These are wrapped separately. These things do not come with your kit. Okay, so let's start the assembly process. So the first thing is that we have some hardware to put on the case side. So what we have are special decorative nuts that we need to put in here from the outside. We also need some masking tape. So we're going to put just a little piece of masking tape over these so that they won't fall out, because we have to tip it over next. Tip it over. You'll notice that we have, these are called Raffix pins, inserted in here. Your bed will not come with these in. You'll have to put them in yourself. It's too hard to crate it up with these in. But the way that you insert these is you hold it over the hole straight up and then carefully get it started with the specially ground bit that is in your kit, and then screw it down until the shoulder here is flat against the case side. So you'll be doing that with about 8 pins on each case side. The next thing is to install the mechanism arm with the gas strut and the bottom bracket. So this is going to go right there, and we'll attach that later. You're using 5/8 or 3/4 inch bolts to attach this. And just snug these bolts up. Don't put them in too tight, because you'll actually pull the nut into the wood from the other side. All right, then you're going to pull this up so it's just sitting on top of the concealer there, and then drop your 1/2 inch bolts into the holes here and get that fastened. Now this next little step takes some strength, because you have to pull. I'm going to keep my knee in front of here so this won't slip, but you have to pull this tip down and set it underneath here like that. If you have 2 people, it's easier to do. So this is ready for assembly now, and you'll do the same process on the other case side. So now this case side is ready for assembly, and you'll do the same process on the second case side. So the next step is to attach the bottom stretcher. The bracket cams are going to be towards the back, and you just slip it onto the 3 studs at the bottom. Insert the screwdriver at about a 20-degree angle. Make sure your tip is solidly seated in the cam, and then turn it about 180 degrees. And that will lock it all in. Next is to assemble the bottom stretcher to the second case side. So this particular part of the assembly process should be done about 2 feet in front of the wall where you're actually going to have the bed installed. That is so that you can get around the back side and make the connections there that need to be made before you put the bed up against the wall. Next step is to assemble the case back, and it's good to have 2 people to do this. It's a heavy part, and there's the potential for the case back to fall if it's not held in properly. The next step is to assemble the top. Your top will come without the Raffix pins in so that it's easy to pack. So you'll have to put those in, and then the front trim piece is going to get connected onto the front of the top underside. Next step is to put the metal support bar that helps to keep the top from depressing. There are little oval head screws for that. There's 3 of them just to hold it in place. Next step is to put the top on the case, bring it up, align the Raffix pins, and then turn around and get the pins and everything aligned on the second side. And then go ahead and tighten all the cams. We've got 4 on the inside and about 5 on the back. The next step is to install the bed stops. It's a little piece that goes on the inside of each case side. So the case side now the case is completely assembled, and now we move to assembling the desk. So the desk back is already on the floor. The Raffix pins are going to be in your desk back in the crate, and so you're going to put it on the floor just like this. This is the top of the desk. This is the bottom. And then you set the desk back, or the desktop, on the desk back so that the Raffix cams are towards the bottom of the desk. Hold it into the cams, lock the cams in. The next step is to attach or to put additional hardware on the desk ends. The Raffix pins will not come in here when it's in the crate. You'll have to put these in. But the tri-bear, that's what this part is called, was already pre-assembled on your desk end. There are additionally some plates, metal plates that are going to be fastened to each of the desk ends there, and we have the lock pin which attaches here. So I'm going to show you the attachment of the lock pin. You have little brass washer head screws for that. Now this is called the link pivot, and it needs to be inserted into the holes on the desk end so that this hole here is right in line with the tri-bearer. It has to be that way. And then on the other side, you will loosely attach the second plate, because we have a piece that is going to get inserted in between these two plates. So this desk side is now ready to assemble to the desk. You will put the hardware on the other desk side the same as this. And then each desk side is aligned with the graphics cams. And then you're going to tighten the cams on the bottom first here. So this desk end has already been assembled with the lock pin, the graphics pins, and the link pivots. So we just go ahead and align it with the cams and tighten the ones on the bottom. Okay, next step is to just turn this on its back. And there are a couple more cams on the back side that have to be tightened, one on either end. Next step is to install the bed or the desk support bar. One face is unpainted, that goes up against the plywood. Just align it with the 1/4-inch holes on either desk end. Set it down, and then using your 4mm wrench, insert the decorative bolts through the outside. So the next step is to set the desk, the finished assembled desk, in place. We're going to set it equally from side to side, about so. The next step is to attach the bed end panels to the desk, and they're going to be attached where we have these link pivot plates. So you'll lift this and just carefully slide it in between the two plates and line up the hole with the bushing, and then with your 4mm wrench and the little machine bolts, insert them and tighten them up there. Also, these can now be tightened up. And then go to the other side and insert the second little machine screw. Tighten these bolts up. Now, this will be self-supporting at this point, but you don't want to stress it in any way because there's not a lot holding it. Do the same thing for the other end panel. So the next step is to set the bed support bar in place. There are cradles for it on both ends. And then we're going to screw in the bolt that holds it in place. So you insert the bolt from the outside, and then go ahead with your 4mm wrench and tighten it up. Okay, that's fully tightened now. So the next step is to lift the bed and desk back into the case, or just slide it actually. Be careful not to scrape any of the wood parts on the metal parts. We're going to bring this back so that the trunnion hole is aligned with the hole in the mechanism plate. The next step is to insert and fasten the trunnion. Goes through the plastic bushing, and it's going to get attached to that mechanism plate. Make sure that you get the bolt lined properly, and then you do a cross thread. Firmly snug it up. To attach the back bed rail. I'm going to hand one end to my assistant. Line it with the Rafix pins. Tighten the cams. There are 4 of them. You have an access port for the bottom 2. Is to attach the front bed rail. Next step is to install the mattress platforms. Carefully align it with the sides of the bed and slip it in, and then drop it in place in the back. Okay. Now, before we put the front bed mattress platform in, we're going to screw in the back platform. I'm only going to put in 4 screws, but you'll be putting them all in. Next step is to put in the front bed platform. And you'll notice that the holes that go towards the back are inset so that they screw into the support bar cover. You can bring it in, carefully align it. So before we raise the bed and complete the assembly process, we need to install these lock blocks. There's one for either case side. They go right here, and they're attached with these bronze trim head screws, just so that the heads are just barely below the surface. And you do the same on the other side. So the next step is to raise the bed. It takes strength to do this. It's easier to do it with 2 people. And then lock it in on both sides. next step is to set the mechanism arms, and this is where it takes a lot of strength too. The way to do this is to sit on the floor in front of each side. Get in here with both hands and grab the mechanism arm just below the desk. Pull it down. And then set it into the groove. If you have trouble with this step, you might want to get a belt and wrap it around the arm and have another person help you pulling on the belt as you're pulling on the arm to pull it down and get